Welcome to the Wingly Update, name to be decided. Forget everything you know about programming language for the cloud. Now, welcome your host, Eyal Keren.
Hi. Welcome to the seventh show? Yeah. Hi, and welcome to the seventh show of the Wingly Update. We have, of course, Vital here with me. And as you can see on the screen, can they see on the screen? Yeah. Great. So as you can see on the screen, we have three topics for today. The first one is a community update with Vital, and we'll be talking with one of.
It's a surprise for now.
So there's a surprise coming, not related to talking with anyone. And the next one, we're gonna talk with Mark the DJ, but we're gonna talk about code with him, and we're gonna talk about
music today.
He's gonna give us some music, but code is his real music.
I got some feedback that people are actually waiting for his music part.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. So he's gonna talk about extern.js. And the last topic is we're going to have a lab, and we're going to go with everything that is new on Wing, kind of a roll-up of all the things that are new in Wing.
That is super exciting.
So kind of community, that's your place.
That's my thing.
That's your thing. And it's been kind of 4 months since we've launched our...
a little bit less, but yeah.
Since we launched our alpha? Before that, it wasn't even open.
It wasn't open.
So there's it's a new role for you.
Yeah.
What's the experience for you in the last 4 months? What's the process you've been going through?
Wow. Well, I can say I feel like a proud mom. It's kind of oldie to say that, but this is how I feel. I feel like I'm so proud, and I'll give you an example. Today we had an exciting session led by Elad, where we were dogfooding Wing. We were actually using Wing, and we felt the language, and it's a real language. And then I saw EJ, and I saw Raphael, and Adam, and Anantu, and Marcio, and Philip. They all joined us.
Right.
I was so excited to see the community, to see how we're working together. Like, you can also see the maturity of the pull requests that we're getting.
Right.
It's like we're spending time, and we're even having some discussions about them.
Right. I mean, that specific meeting was interesting because till now we've been really kind of laser focused on the stores, and now we're expanding it to basically start working with this tool. There's enough.
Working with the language.
Yeah, with the language. Wing has got to a point where we want to start working with it to know what's missing, to uncover the unknowns that we don't know of.
And it's exciting by itself because Elad led an amazing session today, and he were using Wing, and it's really it's awesome to see that all of the hard work that we were all investing together, it becomes a real language.
And I think that the nice thing about this, that the people that you kind of mentioned, and there's some others, the fact that they're part of the people that got the part of the journey.
Exactly.
And the next thing you mentioned, basically, that the kind of the maturity of pull requests, we're seeing things like people pushing pull requests for new resources,
Yeah, and I wanted to call out some names, so this is it's a good preparation for that. So I'll start with EJ. He implemented a naive counting semaphore using Wing.
Right.
And he demoed that in one of our community meetings.
Right.
Which is also exciting by itself. And it was super cool to see how he used Wing to implement a resource.
Yeah, and I think the last Wing Elad and I were showing his power
and floor
division.
He also implemented the break and continue statements.
Right. Who else on your list?
So we have Yariv Levy. Yeah. Not Yariv.
Yeah.
It's Yariv. Thank you. And he joined us recently, but he became so active in few days. He added some enhancements to the SDK side of the house.
Right. He added the counter reset
implementation.
And the recursive simulator
bucket.put
method. Right.
Yes. And also some changes to the compiler.
Right. Great.
We also have Jake Page. He's also fairly new to Winglang. He contributed to the doc site, which is also super important, the contribution guide.
Right. Oh yeah. Super
Super
important.
critical.
Yeah.
And we have also Raphael. We all know Raphael. We mentioned him a few times. He contributed to the SDK as well. He was adding an API resource, which is like, it's a massive pull requests. And we were using that in
our last kind of story. So he implemented the AWS side. I think Chris is implementing the SIEM side. They should all work together. And that's awesome. That's kind of the core thing that we're doing right now is completing that story.
Yes.
Awesome. So let's applaud. And you want to say? I want to applaud all those people. You want to?
Yes,
say
I just want to call out one more name, which is Marcio.
Okay, Marcio, of course.
And Marcio is basically the surprise of this evening.
Right.
So we want to.
So first of all, EJ, Yariv, Jake, Rafael, Marcio, Yariv, all of you. Thank you very much. And the surprises that we have.
We have Marcio here with us.
Right. So let's take this thing and put this on ourselves. I think this is for your side, right? Is it? Yeah. Great. And let's jump here. And let's get Marcio on screen.
Hello, Marcio.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Marcio. So I just want to make sure that we're hearing you. Okay, we're hearing you. Great. So first
How
of all,
are you?
Fine.
Marcio, we're so excited that you're here. How did you agree to join us to this crazy show?
It's a pleasure.
So we mentioned you're very active. You posted a very heartwarming post in LinkedIn, and you mentioned there that you contributed 12 pull requests, and I checked today, and it's actually 16.
Ooh, nice, man.
What?
Yeah.
No, not approved.
One of them was not approved.
One of them was not approved, so 15, but 16 overall. So
Yeah. I lost the count.
That's a good sign. So you tell us a little bit about yourself. I want to say everything about you, especially based on the post that you have published, but I will let you talk a little bit. So tell us, how did you hear about Wing? What are you doing on your day-to-day job?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I pretty new to the clouds. I began to work with clouds in 2.5 years ago, and before that I don't know anything about it. I don't know what is serverless. I don't know anything about it. And 2.5 years ago, I joined a company, and the goal there is let's begin to create a serverless application because our containers are too much cost, it's too hard to maintain it, and let's go to cloud. Okay, so I need to learn how to do that because I don't know anything about it.
Marcio, are you a developer, a DevOps, from the operation side?
I'm a developer.
Got it. Okay.
I'm a developer. Today I work as a developer, but help a DevOps team sometimes. In my company today, I'm one of the people who teach the other guys how to work with cloud. Specifically AWS. We work only with AWS. So I had a lot of knowledge about it because I studied like crazy.
So you're mentioning your company has decided to go to serverless,
Yeah, 2.5 years ago, we are not did not go full serverless. It's
Yeah,
this
of
is
course.
not as this. We are migrate some services to serverless and new serverless, new services. Most of the time is new things you have to do, and some others we do refactoring to migrate to serverless.
Really?
It's not let's change everything.
Yeah, there's no
Yes.
lift and
Yes.
shift. There's no lift and shift solution, and the refactoring seems like a complex project. I mean, it's a different architecture by definition, right?
Yeah. I don't hear you.
Oh,
well.
sorry. Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, when I began to learn how to use the CDK, I began with CDK, and I like it because it's programming. I'm a developer, so it's easy for me to understand that. Then I go to learn. I need to learn how to do that without CDK. I don't like that, so I come back to CDK.
So I'm assuming that Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, cloud formation.
Yeah.
This stuff is crazy. It's so hard to understand. And when I work with CDK a lot, I work with serverless framework, other framework too, but CDK I like it. And because I work with CDK, I heard about ELAT, and then I know when he when he creates Monada. I don't know.
Yes, it's Monada.
Yeah, Monada, and I saw when the announcements of Wing, and that's it. I began to see this. So.
But what did you think about Wing when you first heard about, we're going to create a new programming language?
I don't I don't like that much. I think it's a little strange for another programming language. Why?
So what?
But,
you basically you started to actually love it, I think. So what made you change your mind about Wing?
I think it's funny. The counter
Really?
make me love.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the first show we are programming ULED, and then you use counter. You think, what? Counter? What is this? I never saw a counter on AWS, because when I saw that, I thought function is a lambda. Okay, bucket S3 bucket. Okay, counter. What the hell is this? So, but I when I saw the counter, I saw the simplicity to a developer to understand what it is. It's easy. So I think, that's good.
I'll give it a chance.
Marcio, I have to say this is music to my ear, because it's exactly the same. I kind of fell in love with the idea of the project before, but I only realized the potential when I saw the counter. Because I mean, because it's so small and so easy to use, and it's available, and behind it everything is serverless and stateless, and I mean serverless, and it's I totally agree. The counter is for me it's a great example of what the right level of abstraction can happen in Wing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a game changer. It's a game changer.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, so that's
with
why
the
you've done
counter,
them.
we
That's why
can-
you. I mean, have you done them the
Ink,
semaphore?
ink.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He did the ink.
He did the ink.
He implemented ink.
Was he doing the semaphore as well? Am I wrong?
It was EJ.
It was EJ. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay. Got it.
But he added
The
some comments
increment,
there, and
rest.
he was
Got
contributing to the counter. So it's all connected,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
so exciting.
Yeah, because the way I work today, I teach other members of squads in my company how to use how to work with servers. It's hard for people who 20 years programming microservices in Java to understand how to work with that.
Yeah.
They never create a query or a topic. It's hard. It's
Right.
hard.
Yeah.
And CDK helped that, but we can see this super. We can see we have the business logic on Lambda and the infra, and it's nice, but it's a little hard for them to understand. And with Wing, this is more easy to them understand what happened.
Yeah.
And that's why I came to make a lot of contributions, because I want to use it. I want my people who work with me use it.
Yeah, I think Vital, one of your kind of catchphrase to say, kind of when we were talking with early on with people, was that the lines between infrastructure and the business logic, they became blurry. And they became so blurry that you have to have them as both of them as a first-class citizen in the same language, and that's pretty much what you're saying, and I love that direction.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of potential. I don't know. I think it's a new thing. I think it's the future. The way with this approach. What's the future? I don't know if it will be Wing or another framework, but has to be something like that.
Yeah.
Marcio, do you remember your first contribution to Wing?
Yeah, it's interpolation. The string interpolation. On the first show, you guys made put a string in a file to a bucket,
right?
And when you put two variables, the second one duplicates.
Oh,
so
that's
I
remember we zoomed in,
yes.
And we saw two lines, right? So that was your first commit.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was you. Great.
Yeah, it's me.
Nice, man. Nice.
I love it that's pull request. I love that.
Awesome,
and so I have to ask you, out of the 15, 16 pull requests that you have published, which one is your favorite?
That one, the first one.
This one?
The first one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because first off, it's correcting a bug. We show the bug. We see the bug. And I think it's amazing you do a thing to correct that. And I love that. And second, I need to learn a little thing about Rust. I never code in Rust. And I had to learn a little bit about it. And I think it's great. I love that.
I'm glad that I've heard that, Marcio. We will follow up. I'll find you.
I keep thinking that this show, I mean, we're talking to ourselves. There's no real value. We're producing. I mean, we're talking about it. What's the value of this show? Now I can rest assured. I mean, if you've seen the bug, you've seen the counter in the show, and you fix that bug. I mean, the show has done its role. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Wow, Marcio, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any other question you want to ask?
No, I'll see you over Slack and in the meetings and on
sure.
the GitHub.
For
and,
sure.
And thank you for joining. And it was
We
great.
love you, Marcio.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
See you.
See you. Oh, this was very.
Wow.
I'm emotionally.
I know.
Yeah, it was
It's a crazy day.
Yeah,
you know?
it was exciting.
We started with a lot. Now the show. It's.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Do you have anything else for us? I think you do, right? Or no?
No.
No, that's it?
I think so.
That's it. Okay.
I can stay if you want.
You can stay while we'll basically I'm gonna need the other one.
Okay. All right.
So
I'll leave.
Yeah. So as you can see, can we see the thing on the left? So the next thing on our list. Thank you, Revital, first of all.
Thank you, Eyal.
So the next thing on our list is we're gonna have a discussion with Mark, also known as Mark the DJ. Mark, if you're hearing us, that's the time to kind of, oh, here you are, man. How you doing, Mark?
Yeah, it's okay.
So Mark, okay.
Hi,
Oh,
I'm here.
okay, good. Let me do this.
Sorry, too loud?
No, you're good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
I'm not used to seeing you actually live in this show.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, can I do a bit where I pretend this still isn't live? And that's not too hard, so I'm just here. That was easier.
So Mark, where are you located right now?
I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida, and people know you from basically from your DJ gig. But what do you do in Wing?
I work on, I guess, most things other than the console. They don't need me there. They're doing an excellent job. So I pick up what I can, like in the compiler side. I think people will see me focusing on the VS Code extension, but I definitely all over the place.
Great, awesome. And what do we have for us for today? I mean, the external JS topic. What's that?
Yeah, so just to like set it all up before I like share anything or demo, the Wing being kind of like an early, very early language means that we'll have limitations, and limitations will get smaller and smaller over time. But in the meantime, and I mean also even in the future, you're going to want to call out into existing ecosystems to enhance what functionality you have. A lot of languages have this. This isn't. We're not really, and even when they reach maturity, they still have it because there's so much work that's already been done outside of this language that we want to still make use of. So a big thing is JavaScript. We already are partially doing that with our compatibility with JSI libraries. Right. So hey, why not jump to the next level and say, how can we interact with just plain old JavaScript? So the idea here is, okay, how do we do that? But we do it safely. We don't want to just have you running arbitrary JavaScript just wherever in your wing. We want to kind of make sure you stay safe with when you give people tools. You don't want them to immediately trip over it. Like it should make sense in Wing.
So you're saying it like that was the initial decision, but in the beginning of when we started talking about the bring JavaScript, it was bring unsafe or untyped JavaScript. And I remember the discussion when you were saying, listen guys, I'm gonna write untyped language. I mean, I'm used to TypeScript. Why you're giving me this DX, and a lot of what we're doing is about the developer experience, and it's much worse than what I have right now. But the actual result is that we've taken kind of the type safety into Wing, and basically kind of created kind of a DMZ zone with the helper files where nothing is really safe there. It's plain old JavaScript. Awesome. And so, and you're the guy who went and implemented this feature, right?
Yeah, Allowed wrote the spec update to fill this out in there, and then I implemented it.
Awesome. So basically, kind of recap on what you said, Extern.js is the ability for Wing to interact with JavaScript, very similar to how Java interacts with C with J and I, and that's what you're going to show us right now. You want to share your screen right now, or any kind of more setup?
I don't. I think it would be at that point or at this point easier to just see. So
Okay. So I'm looking at your screen.
Okay. Live sharing.
5, 4, 3.
Here we go.
2, 1. My God, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let me know. Are we all good?
It's all good. I'm seeing your live.w file, bring cloud,
Okay.
resource fund.
Okay, we're all set. So there's a little bit of ceremony in here. I'm skipping over. I want to point out there's some limitations currently to how this is implemented. Some of them intentional, some of them not, some of them gaps. But I'll just mention them as we're going along. So just to show what we're unlocking here, I just want to do some stuff. I just want to do just whatever wacky stuff I can think of that Wing doesn't let me do right now. That maybe I need to reach over for some JavaScript. So for the first option, let's say I want to make an HTTP request.
Okay.
That's some people do that, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Some people actually go to the internet to get stuff. It's nuts. It's really insane. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know what you're going to find there on the internet. I kind of feel it's obsolete.
There's really nothing that useful there. But in case there is, we'll go check it out.
Okay.
So the first thing we'll show is I wrote up a JavaScript file that is able to pulls in Axios. I could have used fetch. Decided not to, just to also show you that we can also load node modules as well. In this functionality. So here we pull in Axios, and I expose a function or export a function from this file that takes in the URL, which is, it's not typed, but let's assume it's a string.
Okay.
And it's able to make a GET request through Axios and return the data.
Great.
When you look at
yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. When you look at this, there is a contract here. Like, we don't have types right now. Right. This only works with JavaScript, but there is a clear contract. It takes in string and it returns, technically this is typed as any, but we know from how this works that this will be a JSON object.
Right.
So how convenient would it be to load this up and have it typed as those things? So we can add this. I copied and pasted for our convenience.
So what do we have on screen? We have extern, and then the extern keyword, and then the fetch.js. That's the file that's what's in your same folder. Yeah,
and actually I just added this feature right now, which you can hover over and click on it and go to the file.
Nice. This is 061, right? 0.6.1.
Yes. Probably. Yeah. I did not check, but yes, it just came out.
Yeah,
I did. I
did.
You checked. Yeah, okay, good. So yeah, this is saying what the syntax is telling you is that, hey, I have here's my function definition, but instead of providing an implementation for this function as I normally would, I'm saying, hey, this is implemented outside of this, and in fact, it's actually implemented right here in this file.
Yeah.
But we still have the full power of the type system of Wing to say this takes in a URL, which is a string, and it returns a JSON object, which I think you guys we've demoed before this new thing.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this today. But so basically, kind of when I send a string, a Wing str, it will be kind of in JavaScript it's going to be the string, and if we're going to send a Wing JSON, it's going to be kind of a JSON in JavaScript, kind of very simple, right? There's no,
okay. Exactly. And I went ahead and thought, okay, what can I demo here? Let's say I want to get a pull request. You'll notice that this is static. That's a current limitation, that these
Okay.
extern functions must be static. That's not a forever limitation, but currently we're saying, hey, okay, in this resource fun, call get JSON, and we can provide it a string.
Right.
I'm gonna go get the API request or hit the GitHub API to get a pull request.
Okay.
And then let's say I want to print it out. So
Okay. Nice.
now and just to explain the other stuff here, I'm making a little test function so that I can run wing tests, and you'll see that it got my
Wow. So
the PR data.
okay. So what we're seeing here, first of all, I mean, you're running wing test your file. Wing test kind of goes through the cloud function that has the name test, and this is test fun. In pre-flight, you instantiate the resource, the fun resource, and then you call the fun function in flight, because the cloud function is an in-flight function, and then it goes outside of wing when the fun.getJSON go outside of the wing realm into JavaScript realm and returns a JSON, right? I mean, this is a JSON. I mean, yeah, great. I see.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It returned a JSON, which I mean, to be clear, like there's no actual type checking between the JavaScript and the wing side.
Right.
It is up to you to make sure that stays established. But this is true of other external functionalities. Like there's going to be a little bit of a dynamic unsoundness here, especially talking to JavaScript. Anything can really happen. But we'll trust you to return the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to like, I mean, right now, this is so returning a JSON, but I mean, we can return any like normal types. We can run any sort of thing. I made one. I don't know how many more demos we want to do here, but I made one to even invoke our shell.
Okay, I want to see
So
it.
hey, you want to, let's say instead of printing this, we want to print an actual shell command.
Okay.
So I think it's just like one of those CLI commands that makes a nice bubble letter. Boom! Now I got that running.
Nice.
You can run anything. I could delete all my files, like whatever. You have full power.
Can you try that? Deleting all your files? Is that an option?
Let's see.
I
could delete.
No, don't delete all your file, man.
I'm gonna delete the package lock here. I'll do or just package-lock.json. That should work, right? Pretty sure.
Can you show me the shell?
Yeah, it's gone now.
Nice. Can you show me the shell.js for a second?
Yeah, sure. So this one's another simple one.
Great.
This one's using a node built-in.
Nice.
So to run that, I don't know if I even will bother with another example, but another node built-in process.env.
Oh, nice.
If you want to get environment variables,
nice.
Same sort of thing. These are some things that I expect Wing to eventually have some sort of proper interface for.
Right.
But until then, it's nice to have something. It's nice to have a trapdoor or escape hatch rather to run all this.
Right. And it's going to take time, and I'm assuming people will use this to create stuff that will eventually go inside kind of our standard library eventually. The network part is a classic thing.
Yeah, although I should say it's not really only limited to that. I mean, it's like even in our own compiler, we use Rust, and we also use extern to run C code.
Right.
And that's not a weird thing. That's it's a super normal thing to have this interop. And I expect Wing programs to have something like this forever, even when we implement most of the more useful stuff.
Right. I think the Node ecosystem really kind of started with a lot of C stuff, and then it's kind of eventually it used to be that you would npm install it to use to compile things on your computer. Hardly you can see this. So first of all, this is exciting. I remember seeing this for the first time, and for me it's because I'm writing a lot of Wing code. This kind of gives me the options to start really creating real stuff. I mean, till now, everything I need, what's not available in the language in the standard library was locked for me. So this is great, man. This is awesome. Was it hard to implement?
Only node module resolution was hard.
What one?
Making sure, so like you when you load a JavaScript file,
Okay.
and let's say you when you require Axios,
Oh,
where is it requiring it from?
wow.
Because we actually there's a compilation process happening, and this file is not running the same context you think it's running in. So we have to make sure that things work as you expect them to. I didn't show it, but I did pre-install, like, so I have a package JSON where and I installed Axios, but it's resolving from the directory that you probably expect it to work in. Same as like the bring JSI, it's resolving from the same place.
From the node models directory, because we're still using npm install for those things, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow, this is I knew when I asked you to. I knew I'm going to see some interesting stuff here. I should have guessed that I'm going to see a shell script. I should have guessed you were pushing a shell script options for Wing from day one, and I should have guessed that. Anything else on this? On this? Anything else that you want to talk? You want to share?
No, I will say that probably the first thing that you should not do with this is run shell scripts. So maybe this was a bad example, but I know that if many of you are like me, that was the first thing you saw. What can I?
Yeah.
What silly things can I do?
Yeah.
So hopefully, I know that you have an example using the native regex that's in Node. Much more useful example, or loading like UUIDs. These are all much more useful. I decided to be less useful today.
No, I love how not useful you are, and I think I always kind of as the guy in charge of product, I always kind of one of the characters that this project is. It's people that are really psyched about technology and really like to test the limits on technology. And I kind of look at you and I say, well, what will Mark gonna like? And I think that's a great example, and it really sparks the imagination of what you can do with it. And I love this example. Great. Anything else about Extern before you have to take off the Mark the developer hat and put the Mark the DJ hat and share the next song with us?
No, I will say it also works with pre-flight. I only showed in-flights,
okay,
but it works the same pre-flight as well. That's it. I'm done.
It's also interesting that you can only put the extern inside the resource, right? You can't put it kind of floating outside and have a floating function, right?
Yeah. So currently, if you're reading this, like in the spec, it specifically says classes and resources. I would also consider this a temporary, although probably much more long-standing limitation. Like the static might go away, but I think we might keep it limited to resources for a while. But you can get really far with that, I think. Right.
And once we have interfaces that we can declare interfaces in the language, you can actually kind of declare my own regex and return the regex, and then you can call kind of object-oriented style on the return, right? Again, type.
Yeah,
safety.
I think there's if you look in the spec, there's actually there's a layout of what types, like how the types map here.
Okay.
And ideally, every type should be available in some way. Like Wing's type system is less complicated than TypeScript's type system. So and JavaScript. So I mean, like it's kind of a subset. So there should be a way to somehow map everything that you can define here the other way.
Yeah. Kind of feel like everything is less complicated in the TypeScript type system. I'm trying to figure this out. I keep seeing kind of every time. I mean, I'm surprised by the things that is possible though, and it's also so extremely cool. Great. Mm-hmm. So, man, let's put on the Mark the DJ hat. And what do you have for us today, man? What's
oh gosh, what do I have for you today? I gave you. This is the first time I think this is the first time I gave you two options.
Right.
For things to play, because I was more focused on trying to make sure everything was working for the demo. Because I didn't have the benefit of pre-recording this time.
Right.
Except this all was a pre-recording. I fooled you.
Right.
So what? Oh,
you don't remember?
I know. Okay. I had to look. I'm sorry. Okay. So I cheated. So I really love Spotify recommendations. I think I've heard hit or miss for some people, but I pretty much most of my music taste over the last few years has been molded by whatever algorithm Spotify has, and I always love when it gives me just like the just random, really small or smallish artists to listen to, and this was one of them that I really liked. This is The Move by Lucy Camp.
Right. So let's listen to The Move by Lucy Camp for about 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I want to thank you, Mark, for having this conversation and bringing us this amazing feature. And in the next after this song, we're going to have a lad. So thank you, Mark. This was awesome. And let's hear Lucy Camp. Bye, Mark.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello.
What's
How
up?
you doing, man?
I'm great.
You have your mic running. We can hear you.
It's a good show.
Yeah, I feel it's a good show. It's kind of, there's a lot of content, different people, and the
Not
language.
just us blabbering
Yeah.
for 3 hours.
No, I think it's. I like our blubbering. And so basically, this show has 3 topics. This topic is a composition of topics. So we use the composition pattern, and this is what's new in Winglang. And we sat together and we kind of wrote a bunch of stuff.
Just sharing some updates from the last 2 weeks.
Right. So do you have anything you want to start with?
Performance?
Performance. Okay, let's start with
I
performance.
don't know. We can do that.
Yeah, we can do performance. So who's been dealing with performance?
No, I think last time we talked a little bit about the fact that Wing is still in alpha, and there are many dimensions of the project that are still not finished. Some functional stuff, but also non-functional stuff, like stability and coverage and performance, obviously.
Right.
And we all believe performance is almost the number one feature, because we're here to bring back the flow for developers. If this thing is going to be slow, it's not going to do it, right? If this is going to be a clunky solution, it's not going to work.
Right.
And so we haven't been super intentional about performance at this so far.
Right.
And as you said earlier, we're kind of starting to get to the point where we feel like maybe we can start building stuff with Wing.
Right.
And as we've been starting to build stuff with Wing,
Turns
out it's not really working.
I mean, one of the items, we have a bunch of things to fix in performance. We have Bring JSII, which is slow right now, and we can't really demo it, right?
Right.
So one of the things you kind of came across that you couldn't demo and you wanted to demo was the performance of multiple in-flight methods, is that?
Yeah, in-flight methods, in-flight functions, basically.
In-flight function, not something that we usually use a lot in Wing, but maybe
the only probably important thing to demo. No, I think I love it, right? I feel like, we're building a programming language from the context of a startup company.
Right.
And that's an interesting journey. I feel like we're not in the academia, we're not a non-profit foundation, we're not in big tech, which is usually where programming languages come from.
Right.
And so we're doing it in a very kind of startup-y way, which means that we need to be trying to understand exactly where we're going, how we're going to deliver, the first and initial product, so we can get feedback from users and make sure that we're building the right thing. We can't afford not to build the right thing, right? That's and we're taking a very ambitious goal, for ourselves. And so trying to make sure that we're actually minimizing the amount of work that we're doing is a big challenge, right? It's always have these constant conversations about what goes into what's part of the beta, what's not part of the beta.
Our surface area.
What's the surface area that we want to maintain initially? And so all of that stuff is fascinating, I feel.
Right. No, it's a fascinating journey.
But I was actually on a holiday last week, and I had a flight. And flights are, I should probably fly all the time, basically, because flights are the best place for me to work.
For you, yeah.
Because
I can find myself working.
Because this is where I can be in the flow. I don't have internet. And that's actually really amazing. And it's a really interesting kind of relationship to what we're doing with Wing, because one of the cool things about the Wing stack is that you can actually build your cloud applications without the internet.
Right.
Offline.
Right.
And so
when you say without the internet, it's not about the internet connection. It's the fact that you don't need to go into the internet to check
but it's
for the
also
questions.
about doing it in an airplane.
Yeah. Why? Why do you need to do it?
Because this is the perfect time for me to work. I get into my little seats. I keep ordering coffee.
You sit in the back of the seat, on the back of the plane, right?
Yeah, sometimes just to put some movie, just like I had this one flight where the guy next to me, after 14 hours of flight, he was like, we were landing, and he was like, dude, were you working for 12 hours straight?
Wow.
I get into this crazy zone.
So kind of mindfulness flow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love
Which is
it.
the best place to be.
It's the best place.
It's the best place to be. Yeah.
And I need tools to make sure that allow me to be in that place. And when I've been building stuff, for the AWS CDK, and I constantly needed to deploy things, and it's like I couldn't do it in flights, which is pretty frustrating.
Right.
But regardless, I was in a flight, and I was like, okay, we gotta fix some performance stuff. Like we gotta make sure that this thing is. And I realized that we had a pretty low-hanging fruit in terms of performance, which is we used to. You know what? Let me show you the benchmark.
Great.
I think that's probably a good.
It's probably the best place to start in performance with a benchmark. So let's see if we have this screen working. Nadav, do you have the screen showing? A large screen? Okay, great.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, so we've got a little benchmark here of a bunch of Wing applications, Wing programs. One creates defines a bucket. The other defines 5 buckets.
Okay.
One defines a single in-flight cloud function
with an in-flight method.
With an in-flight method. And this one defines 5. Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
And this benchmark here, you see we have the old Wing and the new Wing. So I'm gonna do this and run it with the old Wing and see what's the.
Okay.
So this is 0.5146.
Right.
But one bucket took 50 milliseconds.
Half a second.
500 milliseconds, half a second. One in-flight took 6 seconds, which is already too much.
Yep.
5 buckets also took half a second.
Yeah.
And then we're still waiting for the 5 in-flight functions. And this is me kind of like going to get another coffee, right? Yeah. 26 seconds for 5 in-flight functions, and it's actually O of number of in-flight functions. So every in-flight function takes. Yeah. And so when I saw this, I was like, okay, there is a suspect, right?
Yeah.
And so I've been realizing that what we've been doing is we've been actually bundling every in-flight, every cloud function into a JavaScript bundle, because this is what we're doing in the cloud. When you need to run your cloud application in AWS Lambda or in Docker containers, you actually need to bundle all of the dependencies and make sure that it's self-contained. Yeah. But when you're running locally on your local machine in the simulator, you have everything local.
Right.
There's really no need to bundle.
Right.
And we've had a conversation about it, and Mark was saying, it's actually reducing our fidelity, right, for the local experience. And I was saying, well, our fidelity is completely different.
What do you mean when you say reducing our fidelity?
So
it creates a
difference. It creates a difference between how your local experience behaves and how your cloud behaves. But
we should that difference is going to be filled by testing.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And that's a really important design tenet, right, for Wing. Yeah. The whole idea of the way Wing is designed is to enable that difference, right? Because we're creating an abstraction, we're creating a contract.
Right.
We are going to take responsibility to make sure it's guaranteed to work across the providers, right?
Right.
And so if no, that's not going to work.
Not going to work? Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I have enough battery.
Okay.
Anyway, so I think the fidelity of like how we bundle our functions is the least of our problems, right? Like a queue in the Wing simulator is an array in memory, right? Like that's not the same as an SQSQ or an Azure queue.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's an interesting point because I think this is emphasizing the power of this solution, right? Because this solution gives us the ability to make the right decisions based on the developer's requirements, right? And in our case, the optimization and for the flow.
Interesting. So till now we had the kind of the Lambda function and the local host, I mean the cloud implementation of the function and the simulator implementation of the function, they were both kind of bundling the same way, running differently because on the very differently. And when basically you looked at this, you saw that the fact that the ES build dot bundle something takes a long time. You said we can change this because this is not what we rely. They can also be bundled differently. The only thing that's important is that they function the same.
Right.
And that will be achieved by testing.
Right.
Awesome. Testing that will run on the simulator.
And I'm sure we will have discrepancies.
Bugs. Of course.
But we can fix them and we'll make sure that they will constantly get better. We'll get better at guaranteeing that the contract that we have in our SDK works across all the providers, including the local provider.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
So let's see the new version.
Okay, so did you do VI? Okay.
I'm gonna just use Wing, the globally installed, which is...
We're gonna see it in a second. We just edited it. Okay, 6.1. This is Mark's new version. With nice, man. Nice. So half a second for everything.
Half a second for everything. O of 1 in a sense. So it's not dependent on the number of in-flight functions. And I feel that's beautiful. Again, it's about the architecture. Right. Okay. Awesome. What's the next topic?
The next topic could be permission JSON. Do you want to talk about JSON?
Yeah.
Let's talk about JSON. So JSON in Wing. So JSON, is it an object? Is it the way you pass information? Is it a data layer?
So I think we talked about it maybe a little bit in our last show because we've been kind of speccing it out and Hassan was implementing it a little bit, but I can't really recall.
It's hard to keep track of what we talked about. I mean, we talk a lot. Yeah.
But we can.
So let's start with the demo. How do I use?
No, the background. I think that we do need some background about this because JSON is really interesting. It's one of the first things outside of in-flights and resources that I feel makes Wing a cloud-oriented language in a way, because I think there's no debate that JSON is, in a sense, the data protocol of the cloud. Like everything is JSON. Right. And as much as people are trying to find other solutions and other protocols, eventually it's kind of like the internet, like the standard de facto of the internet is JSON. Right. And anyone who's been building anything in the cloud has been dealing a lot with JSON. And I think that's one of the reasons JavaScript and TypeScript have become very popular languages for building stuff in the cloud, because they have very natural JSON in relationship, right? JSON is the data type of JavaScript. Right. Having said that, I don't think that the way JavaScript and TypeScript treat JSON as a wire protocol is the best solution for building applications. Oh.
JavaScript is a kind of a loosely typed language, so it's kind of natural to use JSON.
Yeah, but using a loosely typed language for building complex real-world applications is challenging, right? And then TypeScript is definitely an amazing, has an amazing design for basically slapping on types on top of these dynamic JSON objects. But it doesn't really provide safety, right? Inherently. Right. Like you take something from the network and you say, I think this is the struct, this is the interface, you define some TypeScript interface and you say, okay, I believe this is how this information looks like. Right. Nothing guarantees that. Right. And so the reality is that you can access some field in your TypeScript application. The compiler will feel very comfortable about it, but eventually in runtime, you'll get a very different result because someone has changed the changed how the data is returned from your service.
Yeah.
And obviously you can use schema validations, and you can protect yourself, and you can work to make sure that you're protected. But that's not but that requires more boilerplate, more glue logic, more tools, more schemas, right? Like there's a lot of craft related to that.
Right.
And as you kind of think about it a little more, you realize, how about, service APIs, endpoints APIs, when you're defining shapes for endpoint APIs? How can I automatically generate clients for them, client libraries and SDKs? And so everything is related to these ideas around data schemas and strong typing and wire protocols. And we wanted Wing to have this like very natural and native support for JSON, because JSON
is the thing.
So I'll show a little bit, what we have now, and we
can talk.
We're building more of that. I think it's not fully done, right?
No, it's not fully done. We have kind of JSON and mute JSON, and the counterpart, the statically typed counterpart for that would be struct, which is
let's do it.
Yeah.
I was just telling you earlier how I love the fact that you don't need to initialize anything in order to start a Wing project. You just create a directory.
Right.
No
configuration file.
No configuration files, no templates.
Right.
Which everybody knows I really like.
Yeah.
So you just create a main file, and that's it. You have a Wing application. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the challenges, okay?
Right.
And so contrary to JavaScript and to TypeScript, Wing's type system is statically typed, which means that everything has a well-defined type during compilation. And we want to make sure that when you're interacting with those objects, you can safely do that. When I tell you this is a string, it's a string.
Right.
And so we needed some bridge between the dynamic world of JSON and the static typed world of Wing. And so let's just start to define something. So basically the way you define a JSON...
unfortunately I learned more about JSON in the last month than I knew it for my entire life. I didn't know.
This is interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that a JSON value can be a string. I mean, a string is a JSON, is a qualified JSON.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I kind of think about JSON as these things that start with curly brackets, but what you're writing right now, this is a valid JSON.
Yeah. So basically the way you define a JSON literal in Wing is the same way you define structs. It's very similar syntax. You say JSON and then you type the contents.
Right.
And over here on the right-hand side, it's basically JavaScript syntax in a sense. And so in here, we basically put a string inside a JSON. We created a JSON value that contains a string.
Right.
And this X thing is of type JSON.
Right. Oh, nice.
Oh,
nice. Mark. Awesome. It's the type of JSON that...
And it's pre-flight.
Pre-flight. I love it.
When does that happen? I think like today, just now.
I think I never seen it before. That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And so I can also do, let's call JSON string.
Right.
And then I can do JSON number as well, right? 12 is also JSON.
Right.
And I can also do...
Let's do the normal JSON, kind of, what do you think?
Like a JSON object.
Yeah.
Object.
What most people think about JSON. Yeah. Okay.
Bar.
And a string.
And, you can actually even put here...
Right.
This.
There's also arrays inside of it.
Something here is happening that's interesting, and it's almost invisible. But let's look at it for a second. Yeah. Now we can see that the type of X is
a string.
str. So that's like a strongly typed
string
Wing type. It's a strong Wing type.
Yeah.
But here we're actually putting it inside a JSON object.
Which JSON doesn't accept string, accepts JSON string value, right? I mean, what we're seeing, the JSON string, that's more natural to be in that.
Exactly.
So what's happening here?
So what's happening here is that we have implicit casting down to JSON. We don't have, we're not planning to have a lot of implicit casting.
You're saying this to me.
I'm telling you because I know that...
I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan of implicit casting, and I agree, right? Like I'm not a fan as well. But for me, there's something really natural about being able to cast from strong type to dynamic type. So you can't do the opposite. I can't do y equals str JSON obj or whatever, even if it was a JSON string. Okay, let's do this. This shouldn't work.
Yeah, but you might want to show what can work. I mean, because you can do let JSON string equal. I mean, you can do like this, right? Let j from type JSON, which is basically the same as we were saying. We can do this because this is it's basically what's happening with X here.
Exactly.
But this is, so when I look at J right now,
it's a JSON.
It's a JSON.
And so one thing that I can't do, even if it's a string, I know that there's a string there, I can't access any APIs of string. Right? I can access when I go to X, presumably. There.
So this is
I think like string has a length, right?
Right. But you have to string interpolate it.
Like this. So if I do this, let's run this.
Wing test it.
5.
Great, 5.
But if I try to do this
with J,
so first of all, I get a compiler error because J doesn't have a length API. And if you look at the API, it has get at, which is very minimalistic for now, but it's basically.
Eventually, we're going to have the dot notation length, but it's going to be null. It's not going to be right. I mean.
Yeah. Eventually, we're planning to allow.
Not lengths, but anything.
Eventually, you're going to be able to do. Let's say I want to access this bar.
Okay. Awesome. Great.
So I can do JSON obj dot get bar, and this is as you said, this is a temporary. It's a temporary API that we has for JSON. Eventually, we're going to support JSON ob.bar, right? Like that's going to be kind of like a natural JavaScript type. And then you'll be able to also create an array here if you want. And so you can do this. Now, if I do this, it'll return an array. And you see that when I'm printing it, it's actually it's stringifying it.
Yeah, it calls the JSON stringify with
exactly. So here I should be able to do get at and then get the first parameter.
Yeah, but also those arrays are not typical Wing array, right? Because typical Wing array are only kind of
heterogeneous.
Heterogeneous, yeah.
Right.
And
homogeneous.
Okay.
They have the same type. All the items have the same type.
Yeah.
So if I have and they have a different API, right? So my array is array of hello. Sorry.
No.
Equals
yeah.
Hello world.
Right.
And so my array has
the
initial API for array.
Right.
And so I can do at 0.
And this will be
a string.
Exactly.
And so I don't even need interpolation.
Nice.
And using hello all the time is a bit daunting at this point. I need
hola.
Hola.
Maybe you should do hola all the time. Okay.
So this is basically defining JSON objects. And it's interesting to also mention that JSON is immutable.
Right.
So I can't modify the contents of this object.
Right.
I can capture it, which is pretty cool. Does it work? I'm not sure if I even tried to.
I think it works. I hope it works. Let's see if it works.
Print.
So when we're saying capturing, you're missing bring cloud. When you're saying capturing, we're basically saying now we have two contexts here. We have the in-flight method and we have the pre-flight method, and they do not run on the same VM, right? They do not run on the same runtime. Yeah. So the mechanism for capturing stuff from in-flight to pre-flight is the capturing mechanism. It only works for immutable objects.
Exactly.
Right.
And JSON is immutable.
And it's capturable.
And and that's why it is capturable.
But if you would do JSON mute, if you would go JSON.object, you do let JSON.object, you can probably call the copy mute on. Yeah, okay. Now, this is a bug because you can't reference JSON from mute JSON. Awesome.
Amazing.
Great.
But I can set.
Right.
Now.
Oh, now you can set.
And by the way, we've been almost not even mentioning the fact that we have VS Code completions now, which is an amazing project that Mark did in the past few months, basically, slowly organizing our compiler to support it, and it's actually built into the compiler.
Right.
So we have a language server that's built into the Wing compiler, and it has like intimate access to the data structures of the compiler and the AST and the error handling. And I love it. I think we talked about this as well at some point, but I love the fact that our compiler has built-in language server.
Yeah, it's a very pragmatical decision, and it's very focused to what we're trying to do. We're trying to improve the developer experience. Of course, we're just starting, but that's what we're trying to do. So we have code completion and
hovering. We have definitions of JSON. So now the question is like, how do we, if we know a JSON is a string, how do we turn it into a strongly typed string, right? How do we bring it into the strongly typed world of Wing? Right.
So you have that foo. It's a number, right? The foo is a number. Let's try. If you go down, you deleted it. Okay. The foo is a number. Go all the way down. The foo is a number.
Yeah.
Now I want to let number.
So let's say I'm doing get
foo. And I want to get a strongly typed number. So
the way I do it is we have a bunch of static methods on our standard types.
Right.
And we're actually going to have, this is actually going to be like, you could do it either like this or like this. And basically those methods are called from JSON.
Right.
And so you can do something like this.
And then
if you look at n, you'll see that it's a number.
Let's print it.
Which means that if this method succeeded, then n is guaranteed to be a number.
Right.
And that's an important guarantee.
Expected. Okay, you need to interpolate it.
Oh, here. Yeah. Oh, the other thing that we can see here is some new diagnostic messages.
Right. Look at this. This is awesome. This is I think Chris's work. You can see this thing, and you can see what the problem is. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. It's using some Rust, the Rust library that prints the diagnostics for Rust.
Really interesting.
And I think some really cool.
Yeah, it's going to show you more than one thing.
Some very, very nice. Very nice.
Oh, unexpected identifier because this is a bug. We should open the bug. It should tell us that we're missing a
semicolon.
Yeah, semicolon here. Okay. Okay.
So now let's instead of a number put.
So you basically just FYI you're doing the last thing on the show because people are marking me. We're running out of time.
And I think we kind of covered all of it. Covered all of it.
Besides permission, we have something for next time. We have something for next time. Yeah. So what are you going to show? What's the last thing you're going to show?
So the last thing I'm going to show, I'm going to turn this into a number.
Okay.
And then we'll run it
into a string.
Into a string. Sorry. Yeah. And we get an error that says unable to parse string 12 as a number.
Nice.
And that's a tenet, right? We are not going to we're not going to parse outside information into the Wing type system without ensuring that it adheres to the types of the type system.
Right.
And the most beautiful, I'm going to give you a spoiler.
Okay.
The most beautiful part of this is going to be structs.
Yep.
Because structs are, complex, strongly typed shapes. And each struct is going to have a from JSON method and also try from JSON.
Right.
A from JSON method, and you're going to be able to give it some JSON blob, and it'll perform schema validation.
Right.
And you're going to also be able to produce a JSON schema from every struct in Wing by default.
Right.
And
then you can create validation rules and return them. I think that's going to be awesome.
So I'm excited about that. Obviously, you can also disable it if you want.
Of course.
There's going to be some interesting performance aspects, obviously, for schema validation coming in. Sometimes you don't want it.
Of course.
But I'm excited. I feel like it's kind of like as we kind of lift our heads from in-flights and resources, which are kind of like the first foundational cloud-oriented things that Wing has, we're realizing there are many more cloud-oriented aspects of programming that we kind of almost forgot about, or we don't even realize, right? We're used to all the cruft and all the glue logic and all the boilerplate and all these libraries that we have to use to do things in every cloud application that you've ever built, right? And so we're really trying to make sure that when, the Wing is going to be a great experience for building cloud applications. And I feel like this is a great next example. Right? We're going to have more, I feel. Yeah.
Totally.
Cool.
Thank you for this. Thank you for this demo. Thank you for this amazing API. And it's a nice API. It's a nice first of all, I like I love and hate implicit casting because it's convenient.
What's that?
Implicit casting. I love and hate it because it's convenient. And I think that the API has some quirks to it, but I think we're improving it. And I think I'm looking forward for the structuring. I think the structuring will basically I will not need to use JSON when I know what's
directly,
coming. When I know what's coming. That's going to be huge.
Because and I think TypeScript has that too. But I feel, again, because of the some constraints of the language, right? Like for example, TypeScript doesn't intervene in your runtime.
Got it.
At all.
Right.
And so it cannot perform schema validations, right? By definition. So obviously there are amazing libraries that are doing that and people can pile them up and use them. But that's an interesting opportunity for Wing to do some stuff that's
for anyone that was using OpenAPI, you can when you hook in the validation for OpenAPI, this is awesome. Now this is going to be a built-in thing for our language. That's exactly what it is. So first, thank you for this. Thank you for coming for the show. Thank you for everyone participating here and here and abroad. Revital, Power Production, and thank you everyone. And see you in the next Wingly.
See you soon.
Bye.